up?
Fired up.
All right, welcome back. This is episode 7, Christ the Culture, the only way. It's your boy Jay Brown.
Stepping Jay Walker.
I see what you did this time.
Well, you know.
Hello. Hello.
I think I'm just gonna have to leave mine the same. I'll just say Stephen.
Yeah, I like it. I like that.
I like Stephen Jonathan.
Could you stop saying my middle name?
My bad.
No.
Stephen J.
Stephen J.
Remember Stevie J from Love and Hip Hop?
He was a hit maker.
You're not.
How many hits did he?
I'm not gonna do that. Not gonna do that.
Are you Helen Keller?
That's crazy. Shout out to Helen
Let that go
Keller.
over your head.
Apparently she was a racist, though. So no. Hey,
What is wrong with-
No, because they said when you're blind and you're deaf and dumb. So I said, don't let that go over your head, because you said Stevie J. Yeah, took a low. Yeah.
Yep. All right. All right. So this episode, we're really excited. We're going to be talking about something that, that's pretty real.
Might make you.
It's a little cringy.
Might make you cringe a little bit.
Might be a little cringy. We're here with the homies. So we're going to start it off. We're going to be reading from Matthew 6, verses 1 through 4.
Get your Bibles out.
Get your Bibles out. And I'm going to go through from the ESV, right?
Oh.
All right, so let's do it. It says, beware of practicing your righteousness before other people in order to be seen by them. For then you will have no reward from your Father who is in heaven. Thus, when you give to the needy, sound no trumpet before you, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, that they may be praised by others. Truly I say to you, they have received their reward. But when you give to the needy, do not let your hand know what your right hand. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret. I'm butchering this. I'm tripping.
That's why I was not reading.
No. So that your giving may be in secret, and your Father who is in secret will reward you. I butchered that, John. But you got the end part. Yeah, I'm sorry, y'all. But
it's all good.
It's about giving to the needy. And it's saying, we're talking about right now how in churches it's very, very, very public with giving. How do you feel about that?
I don't want to use the word hate, because hate is a strong word. So I don't want to say I hate it. I want to say this. There's a couple different things I want to say. Number one, we don't know the heart of man.
Okay.
It talks about how God knows that heart. However, I think it's corny. In my opinion, I think it's corny when it's done up too much, right?
Okay.
Like when it's a whole entire event, or when you're constantly on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and you're showing yourself giving.
Okay.
And that is, we're talking about churches, but I'm thinking even dudes on YouTube as well.
For sure.
Like, that's whack, in my opinion.
Okay.
Now, that's just,
How do you feel?
I think if it's, I'll say it as a general way, but I'll use it as an example.
Okay.
Say one of us was homeless, right? So say Jared's homeless. say Jared.
Okay.
Say Jared's homeless, right?
Okay.
And I have a video crew following me, and they're like, "Hey, what's going on, brother?" Did it again, his story, and be like, "I want to give this to you," and then using that to promote yourself. I think, like, in that standpoint, so kind of piggyback off of you, I think that's corny to try to make yourself look like a better light, because you can give the money, and people don't have to know the amount. I think when you're talking about how much of the amount it is, I think that's when it kind of gets.
But why? Like, I want us to think about this, and y'all that are watching, I want y'all to think about this too. Why do you do it?
Okay.
What's the why?
So, right, here we go.
Go ahead.
It's a question.
I know where you go.
Why don't they get a pass? But why do big churches get a pass for doing that?
What do you mean they?
Like the person on the street that does that.
I think it's corny both ways. Me personally.
No. This is no. I'm asking the question. Yeah. Why do you think it's like it gets a pass? Like if a huge church does it, right? And they're like, oh man, we gave this to this person, or we gave this to that person. It's like, oh yeah, that's great for the kingdom, right? But an individual believer can go out and do the same thing on the street, and a lot more people flag us like, oh man, how do you know that that person wanted to be on camera when you gave them this?
You don't.
Yeah, like, and that's my thing with it. It's like it's a huge double standard, and the double standard is, and I feel, and I agree with you. I feel like I don't think it's what you should be doing, and I in them doing that, do I think that is 100% wrong? No, you can do that and to still have a pure heart in doing that. Yeah. So I want to clear that up. I think somebody can have a camera crew and do it and have a good heart in doing it, but that is the reward in that.
I think with anything, we're talking about this topic, but I think it's presentation as well. I think it's presentation. If it's like, I don't know.
So where do you find the balance between and nobody really, that's the hard thing for me is sometimes I feel judgy because I'm like, dang, I can't really sit here and say they're doing it for the likes or they're doing it for the views or whatever, because I don't really know. But in some instances I'm like, nah, like come on.
I think it comes down to each person has like their scale, right? Your scale and certain stuff is different than my scale and stuff. Brown's scale is different than both of our scales and stuff. So I think it just, to some people, like, that whole situation might be, you know what I'm saying, corny, it might be whack, it might be over the top. To some people, it's like, man, that really blessed me. You know what I'm saying? But I think for me, because I know y'all, if you was to do that, I'd be like, because I know you and I know your heart, whether it's a camera crew or not, I know that's just the type of person you are. You know what I'm saying? I guess, I think it kind of comes down to you knowing the person, because then you can kind of make a better judgment of that, if that makes sense, kind of.
I think the best way is to take the scale out of all of our hands. And the best way to take the scale out of all our hands is to go by what the word says. So if we're going, it says, but when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. I think that's when it comes down to, it's like the needy need help, absolutely. But we as humans, we move the goalpost for who we deem deserves the goalpost to be moved for.
Which shows a flaw within ourselves.
Yeah,
it really does. It shows, dang.
Yeah.
Now you're being judged. Like,
yeah. So it's like I think that we say, darn, this is being judgy here. If we just stick to what it's saying, it's like give it to somebody and not record it. Let's not have to tell everybody this is what we're doing. It comes down to, it's literally us feeling good about ourselves. Like if we think about, let's just put it this way, right? In everything we do, there's some sense of sin stain and a sense of, how do I put this in a way to make it understand? There's a sense of us wanting to glorify ourselves. So I give you an example, right? If I gave you, let's say you gave me a gift. Let's say you said, oh man, I know Brown likes the Kansas City Chiefs, right? Let's talk about it, right? You say, I know Brown likes the Kansas City Chiefs. And you say the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. And
way to speak that.
Yeah, I would love that to happen. The Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. I have the opportunity to give Brown these tickets for the Super Bowl, right? I'm going to show the heart posture through this. If you gave me the tickets to the Super Bowl, let's just say you hand it to me, and I'll go, appreciate you, yeah. All right, and continue to talk, and you gave me Super Bowl tickets, right?
Ooh.
Right?
Okay.
Your reaction would be, this dude ain't grateful. You wanted me to act a certain type of way, because you know why? Because even in us giving a gift that is supposed to be about somebody else, we're doing it because we want to magnify ourselves. There's something within ourselves in everything. So even in something as innocent as giving a gift, there's still the stain of us wanting to magnify ourselves and us wanting that glory. So if you truly, and I believe in you giving the gift, there's nothing wrong in that. But I'm using that as an example, because even in a gift, something that's supposed to be for somebody else, we make it about us, and we want that feeling of, oh, I did this. I'm guilty. You're guilty. We all guilty of it. But that's what it is. And it's like, we need to reflect, like, are we doing this out of the love for somebody else, or are we doing it because of the reaction that we want to receive? And it simply just comes down to that. Because
I know for me, I always have to check that. One of the things I love doing, I love giving gifts. Y'all know, like, I enjoy giving gifts.
for sure.
But at the same time, like, I have to watch myself, because I'm like, oh, they gonna go crazy when they get
for sure.
They gonna be so hyped.
Mm-hmm.
And then going back to, like, why are you giving it? Are you giving it just to make them feel good and get the reaction out of them, so that way you feel good? Or are you giving it because you really feel like this is what God has led you to do, and this is what you feel like you're supposed to do?
And even having that talk, like saying that, I don't even think there's anything fully wrong with you wanting that feeling.
Yeah,
but what I'm saying is still recognizing in your heart and recognizing the humanity in us of there's always something that wants us to be amplified. We want the glory in this.
I know our church, so our Harvest Christian Center, like, I'm very particular, so we had an opportunity to do some giving locally and whatnot, and I had just felt like, dang, I just don't feel right even putting these kids, like, I'm talking about us, our church. So if your church does this, if you get offended, that's on you. But I'm talking about us, our church, how we operate and what we believe. I was meditating on this verse, on this passage, and I was like, all right, Lord, like, how do we go about it? And generally, he was like, just do it, just give. Don't do anything. Don't worry about being in no picture or whatever. Now, if they ask us to take a picture or whatever,
That's a
we're
fact.
gonna do it.
Yeah.
We're gonna take a picture, right?
For sure.
But as far as our church and what we believe and how we give, like, we are just like, Lord, do it in private, and we do a lot. We thank God we're able to give to the needy.
Mm-hmm.
In the scripture, it is talking about the needy in the first half of this as well. But God, like, grace us to do the giving, and then, Lord, give us the grace that we find no glory in this. And so now my dad's like, yeah, we don't need to put it on Facebook. We don't need to let people know. Like, we'll let our congregation know, obviously, because church members do. If you're going to a church and they're not communicating what the
That's what
going on,
that's what I was about to ask, because for so long, especially in a lot of black churches, you always, like, you see the pastor that's in New York that literally showed you his whole closet, and it's all Louis Vuitton, all this stuff.
Crazy.
And it's like, I feel like sometimes what happens is, because of that example, people feel like they have to explain, I gave $1,000 here, $1,000 there, because for so long in the black church, from what I could speak all churches, you hear, oh, well, the pastor driving this and this, that, and the third, so it gives a bad stigma. So they feel like they have to overcompensate and be like, oh, I did this, I did that, to kind of max that. So, you know what I'm saying?
But let's go back to this. Do we really believe? I know there are great churches in this country. There are great churches around the world. There are churches that are really doing the work of the gospel. They're really helping move between the four. They're really doing the will of God. And then you have this really small, tiny group of churches that
mess it up for everybody.
They're hustling.
They mess it up for everybody.
They are hustling the gospel. They pimping the gospel, whatever you want to call it. And so I want to go to. Not every church is bad.
Absolutely.
You're not going to get that. When you come watch this podcast, you're not going to get us slamming churches and that, because not every church is like that. I think we're coming from the standpoint of these churches. I think there are more churches that are doing good.
That's what I was about to say.
In the world than there are doing bad. I think, though, it is obvious that media, Hollywood, has portrayed churches as greedy, robbers, manipulate. Like, that's what the church. That's what Christ Church is portrayed as. And so now, because we have these, jack wagons, like oh boy, with Gucci and Dior and whatnot. You got these weird these terrible pastors. They're setting, like you said, they're setting bad examples, and then it makes it hard for us to really do the work, to really accomplish the work.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even say it makes it hard. I think it makes it difficult for people to receive the message that we're trying to give. I don't know if it, like for me, like I know the times that I've gotten, it didn't make, like I wasn't worried about that. I think sometimes because of what they see, it makes it difficult for people. Like I know for young people to want to step into church because they like, oh, this, that, and the third.
But if you think so, that comes back to now, right? The westernized like American gospel that we're seeing. So if we're seeing the American gospel that is about you being a better person, you having more bread, you having like an abundance of things. Like if I come in, right? So I'll give you an example. If I come in, I think we talked about this before. If I come in and I see somebody on, let's say I see the dude that's preaching. The dude that's preaching has on a Rolex, all the nicest clothes. Let's just say he has all the nicest stuff on. The first person, and I'll give it from a mindset of me, my thing is, oh, if I serve God, I get that. So if I serve God, I get that. I get this, and this. Yeah, I get that. I think, and the thing about it is, it's like, are these things that are guaranteed to us? No, we're not guaranteed to have these things. Is there anything wrong with somebody having on nice clothes? No.
Not at all.
But my thing is, if you have a congregation of people that are, let's say you have a congregation of people that are not wealthy, struggling, do you think, what is your opinion on somebody going up there with a Rolex?
Not qualified to be a pulpit. Not qualified. Like
A Rolex.
Out of touch.
How you feel?
Maybe not qualified, but out of touch.
Okay.
Out of touch shouldn't do it. I think for me, it's poor taste. If I'm wearing a Rollie on stage while I'm ministering, and yet I know sister so and so and brother so and so can't pay their mortgage, their kids are struggling, and this and that, something's off.
Yeah.
To me, something is off.
Okay.
We saw that with old boy. Like something was off with that. There is nothing wrong if your pastor has a nice watch or whatever. That's fine. So
okay.
I'm saying that there is something wrong if the congregation, if the people that you're teaching, that man was in the hood. Like he was in Brooklyn, like in the gutter.
So do you think, so this is my thing. Do you think it's cool if you're in the hood? And you don't think it's cool if you're in the hood and do that?
I think if you're, use a pastor like Joel Osteen, Stephen Furtick, right?
Okay.
Joel Osteen has a huge church, right? Joel
Okay.
Osteen has a huge church. His church is as big. He used to have the Houston Rockets joint.
Okay.
Right? So let's just say, I know the Sixers joint is 20,000 for an NBA game. The stage is smaller. Let's just say 50,000. Right? In that standpoint, to me, because of the size of the congregation and probably the consistency and the longevity of that ministry, if Joel Osteen was up there with a Rollie, I don't see that being a problem.
Why though?
Because if so, from the standpoint of, number one, in that standpoint, me looking at it,
okay,
is Joel got books. Joel been doing it for a while.
I can understand.
The fruit of I don't know if it's the right word, but his labor, if you follow me, is like.
So what I'm saying to you is, I don't feel that there's anything wrong with him having one.
No, even if.
But my thing is, so let's say he has these things.
In
right?
that standpoint, if he was wearing it, me personally, I don't think with a pastor, if a pastor has a congregation of 50,000 people, and you have, and say 20% of those people are consistent, right? Mm-hmm. That's still a large majority of people. And even if the congregation is 50,000 in person, the reach that he's making over the world.
But what I'm saying is, how does that attribute to the gospel wearing a Rolex, wearing all the things that he's wearing?
I don't think it doesn't not attribute to it. I think if that's what he likes and he
But
likes,
that would take us to get into the message of what he's saying. So if we get into the message of what Joel Osteen says and what he preaches, right? If we get into what he preaches and what he says, and we go down that lane of what he's saying, everything that he's saying is not strictly.
No, I used him based off of the size of his congregation.
Yeah, so
That's specifically why.
but my thing is, so let's say we have a dude that's affecting a neighborhood. Let's say he's affecting Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. He's affecting them. He has books, and now he's booming. Mm-hmm. But let's say he has 500 members that are all constantly giving. Mm-hmm. Why does he have to not wear a Rolex? And Joel Osteen, is it a numbers thing?